Right now, as you're watching this, you're blind for about 10% of every minute. Your brain is painting over a literal hole in your vision, and you're only aware of reality when something goes wrong. The rest of the time, you're running on autopilot, and the you that thinks it's in control, that might just be a narrator making up reasons for things you already did. Yeah, so, let's talk about that. Look, I knew the brain was weird. We all know the brain is weird, but when I started researching this, I realized it's not just weird. It's actively lying to you, like constantly, and not in a fun way. In a wait, so I've never actually seen reality kind of way. So here's what we're doing. I'm going to show you 10 things your brain does without asking permission, things that are equal parts fascinating and deeply uncomfortable. And by the end of this, you're going to look at your own thoughts differently, which is either really cool or a huge mistake. We'll find out together. Okay, first one, and this is the foundation for literally everything else. Your brain does not show you reality. It predicts reality, and then it edits the feed to match. Neuroscientists have this phrase for it: controlled hallucination, which is a phrase I wish I'd never learned, but here we are. Here's how it works. Your eyes send incomplete data to your brain like really incomplete. So instead of waiting to process everything, your brain just guesses. It fills in the gaps based on past experience, expectation, and whatever it thinks should be there. And it's so confident about this that you only become consciously aware when the prediction is wrong. Most of the time, you're just watching your brain's rough draft of reality, and it doesn't tell you. Which brings us to the next part, which is somehow worse. Your eyes move a lot, like 3 to 4 times per second. Little jumps called saccades, and every time they jump, your brain cuts the video. It's called Saccadic Masking, and it happens because if your brain didn't suppress vision during those jumps, you'd just see a blurry mess every time you looked around. So it blacks it out. Now add that up. 3 to 4 times per second. Every minute, every hour. You are functionally blind for somewhere between 40 minutes and 2 hours per day. And you've never noticed. But it gets weirder, because your brain doesn't just cut the video. It edits the timeline so you don't notice the gap. It's called Chrono stasis. You know that thing where you look at a clock and the second hand seems to freeze for just a little too long? That's your brain backdating time to cover up the processing delay. Your brain is photoshopping your perception of time so you don't realize you were just blind for a fraction of a second. Okay, so just to recap, you don't see reality. You see a prediction. You're blind for like an hour a day. Your brain lies about time. And we haven't even gotten to the really creepy stuff yet, because it turns out your brain doesn't just edit time and space, it can delete entire objects from your awareness. Let me show you. There's this thing called Motion-Induced Blindness. If you stare at a moving pattern like a bunch of rotating dots, and there's a stationary target in the middle, the stationary thing will just vanish, like fully disappear from your vision, even though it's still there. Your brain decides the moving stuff is more important and just suppresses the static object, which is already unsettling, but it gets worse. Because this happens all the time in real life, and you don't even need moving patterns. There's this famous study called the invisible gorilla test. People are told to count how many times a basketball gets passed. And in the middle of the video, someone in a gorilla suit walks through the frame, beats their chest, and walks off. 50% of people don't see it. Not because they're not paying attention, they are. They're laser focused on counting, but their brain decides the gorilla isn't relevant, so it just deletes it from conscious awareness. And this isn't just about gorillas. There's another study where researchers had someone stop a stranger on the street to ask for directions. Mid-conversation, 2 people carrying a door walk between them, and while the door is blocking the view, they swap the person out for someone completely different clothes, different voice, different face. Half the people don't notice.
Huh?
They keep giving directions to a totally different human being and have no idea. And just to make this worse, they did a version of this study with radiologists, trained professionals looking at lung scans. They inserted a gorilla image into the scan like a whole gorilla, and 83% of them missed it. Not because they weren't looking, they were looking directly at it, but it didn't match what they were searching for, so their brain just didn't register it. Your brain is not showing you everything. It's showing you what it thinks matters. And it's wrong. A lot. Here's another fun one. You think you see the world in full color, right? Like everywhere you look, rich detail, vibrant colors, the whole deal. Nope. Only the very center of your vision, the fovea, actually processes color in detail. The rest, your periphery, is basically just motion detection and vague shapes. But your brain fills it in so smoothly you never notice. There was a VR study where they tracked people's eye movements and only rendered the tiny area they were directly looking at in full color. Everything else was black and white. A third of people didn't notice, even when less than 5% of the screen was in color. Your brain is so confident in its paint job that it convinces you the whole world is in HD, when really it's just streaming the center and filling in the rest from memory, which is efficient, but also means you've never actually seen most of what you think you've seen. Okay, I need to pause for a second because I feel like we've crossed into existential crisis territory, and I'm not sure we're coming back. So far, you don't see reality. You're blind a lot. Your brain deletes objects, and most of your color vision is a lie. And we still have like 4 more things to go. If you're still here, genuinely thank you, and I'm sorry. But also, it gets weirder. Memory is not a video file. It's not playback, it's reconstruction. Every time you remember something, your brain rebuilds it from pieces. And every time it does that, the memory can change slightly, or completely based on what's happening now. It's called the misinformation effect. There's this study where researchers convinced people they got lost in a mall as a kid. Something that never happened. And about 25% of people not only believed it, they added details. They remembered what the mall looked like, who found them, how scared they were. None of it was real. Another study asked people if they'd seen footage of a specific moment from 9/11, a piece of footage that doesn't exist. 29% said yes. They remembered watching it. Your brain doesn't distinguish between things you saw and things you imagined. And over time, the line between them dissolves, which means every memory you have has been edited by you, without your permission, and you don't know which parts are real. Okay, last one, and this is the one that really messed me up. So there's this research with split brain patients, people who had the connection between their 2 brain hemispheres severed. Researchers would show one half of the brain an instruction the other half couldn't see. The person would act on it like, pick up an object. But the speaking half of the brain, which didn't see the instruction, would be asked, why did you do that? And instead of saying, I don't know, they'd just make up a reason. A confident, believable explanation for something they didn't consciously decide to do. And the thing is, this isn't just split brain patients. Your brain does this all the time. There's research showing that your brain starts preparing for an action like pressing a button, up to 11 seconds before you're consciously aware you decided to do it. Which means the you that feels like it's making decisions might just be the narrator. Explaining things after the fact. Creating a story so you feel in control. So yeah, free will might be a post-production edit. Sleep tight. Look. I don't know what to do with this information either. I don't think it means nothing matters, or that you're not real, or whatever, but I do think it means we're a lot less in control and a lot less aware than we like to believe. And honestly, that's kind of weirdly freeing. Like if your brain is constantly guessing, constantly filling in gaps, constantly making stuff up, then maybe the point isn't to fix that. Maybe the point is just to notice it, and be a little more skeptical of the story your brain is telling you. If you made it this far, and your brain didn't delete me from existence, hit subscribe. I make more videos like this weird, uncomfortable, and somehow educational. Drop a comment if any of this freaked you out, or if you've experienced any of these glitches yourself. I'm genuinely curious, and if you want more existential dread disguised as science, click the video on screen. Thanks for watching, and good luck trusting your brain after this.